Well, that was a public health message on COVID-19. So, marks up to stay safe. Over 166,000 candidates in 472 centers have sat to the National Primary School Examination, or NPSA. The exams were to be held on 14th May 2021, but were postponed to 28 May 2021. School authorities in Waterloo expressed concern over the lateness of the commencement of the exams and insufficient question papers. Our reporter, Amata Fofana, filing these reports.
While visiting examination centers at the Western Rural District, it was evident that the pupils were excited to take the exams, as it is a transition for them from primary to secondary school.
Actually, I read many books, like exam books, past question, general paper.
The Peninsula Secondary School, Waterloo, is one of the biggest centers for public examinations, hosting a huge number of pupils from various schools within the Western Rural District. School authorities have been working with the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education to ensure they create a safe environment for the pupils sitting the exams. School authorities on the examination.
The problem is we have one school that is not supposed to be here, so we are still waiting. We went to Lorenzo. It should be at Lorenzo, but Lorenzo said they don't have space. They don't have enough space, so let them come here. And now they are here. The scannables for them are here, but no question papers. And there are 86 of them.
There are about 9 of them, which then their names are not in the attendance mark sheet.
Okay.
So we have to use the supplementary, which the people came with the children are taking the exam.
This is a worrisome situation that also affected the parents, as they noted that their children have been longing for the day to take the exams. While their children are still waiting for the exams to commence, colleagues from other centers are taking theirs.
Around from this 7 o'clock.
I have been here since 7 a.m. and we were told that the exams will start at 8:30, but until now the exams have not started. Later we learned that there were not enough question papers for all the students. This same situation occurred last year. We want this situation not to repeat anymore.
We don't have to today, we just sit down. We're not glad at all because we don't have business.
We are not happy with this situation. We have been sitting here since this morning awaiting the commencement of the exams, but until now our children are yet to take the exams. If the papers are not enough for the children, it is the responsibility of the authorities to amend it.
Then we know that an amount of taking away for TPC.
Still on the NPSA examination, the Education Department of the Freetown City Council visited 5 centers at the Western Area Rural District to inspect the proper commencement of the exams. Cynthia Kamara went along with the team.
Officials of the Freetown City Council inspected 4 schools in the Western Rural District with a positive outcome as the examination materials arrived on time. However, there are few upholds like the absence of police personnel in some centers, more those that accommodated over 20 schools. As usual, despite a warning in a press release by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education asking parents and guardians to stay meters from examination centers, yet they surrounded all the centers and it distracted the pupils.
What is the scannable? Their index number. You have the index number, but you have the number, the name on the scannable is different, so that is a problem. And there are some candidates, their names not come. So. But we did not deprive any candidates from taking the exams.
Education officer at the Freetown City Council commended all authorities that were involved in this year's National Primary School Examination and advised parents to avoid examination centers so that children can focus on the examinations.
All the centers, the parents were there, but they were not permitted to go inside the examination hall because they are out of the gate. But still, I appeal to the parents and I even tease them There are good number. Some of them, they are on the streets. They don't have time for their children. It's only when the examination is here and they want to make as if they care for the children. For us to know that they care for the children, when they have a school management committee meetings, they should attend. They should be going to school to check out the progress of their children. That will tell us that they have concern for the children, not just the day for examination.
Lateness and absentees of the pupils continued are the fault of the parents, which should be managed adequately in subsequent examinations. For SABC News, Cynthia Kamara reporting.
Meanwhile, in Kono District, 32 centers were opened across the 14 chiefdoms in the district for 11,341 candidates. The Deputy Director of Basic and Senior Secondary Education in Kono District, Alimami Kamara, said they received all materials needed for the examination on time, but they faced challenge in the distribution of question papers in hard-to-reach communities. He described the process as successful with the support from all education players in actualizing the focus of the government in the free and quality education drive. From Kono, Dauda Kamara reports.
These candidates were in high spirit and felt motivated by their schools to write their final primary school examination that will take them to junior secondary school level. According to the Deputy Director of Education in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Kono District, Alimami Kamara, the 32 centers across the district opened and start at the stipulated time set by the West African Examination Council and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. There are 85 monitors in the 32 centers to supervise the examination to ensure zero tolerance against examination malpractices. He highlighted few challenges encountered by the dispatchers of the examination materials to extreme remote centers, as 19 centers were established outside the municipality, and cited poor road network amongst other issues, especially those assigned to centers in Mafindo Chiefdom and other difficult areas. He appreciated parents and guardians for decongesting the examination centers and work with the protocol set by the ministry and the district task force on all examination centers in the district. Pupils were admonished at different examination centers about the rules governing the examination and encouraged them to feel relaxed and do their best. The Islamic Secondary School had 769 candidates, which account for the highest pupils across the centers. At Anzaru Boys Secondary School in Koidu City, 539 pupils entered for the exam. From the entire monitoring process, few issues were raised by the supervisors in some centers, like shortage of question papers, mismatch of candidate names and their index numbers. But the issues were later addressed by the Deputy Director of Education in consultation with the West African Examination Council.
For Bombali District, education stakeholders said that this year's MPSE started on a sound note. According to them, timely distribution of materials and a cordial relationship play a vital role into the smooth commencement of the exams. From Makeni, Asanfore, Centos reports.
To begin to look into this year's MPSE, we started our tour at the WAEC regional headquarters at Sanders Street here in Makeni, where every material for the exam was stored. Bit by bit, the materials were transported to the various centers across the district. We are told transportation actually started 24 hours ago, especially to remote communities for early setting up that will enhance a smooth exam. Abakar Kuyate is the Deputy Director of Education, Bombali District.
Well, as you can see, we've already concluded the distribution of the question papers to all the centers in the 29. So into the 29 various centers in Bombali District.
Okay. How many candidates are we expecting to take the exam?
Well, just as I told you earlier, we have about 11,900 candidates that entered for the NPSA exams this year in Bombali district. And these 11,900 candidates are divided into 29 centers. We have assigned 2 supervisors to each center, and we also have the police. They are also around to make sure we have a smooth running of the exams. We have other partners like the anti-corruption, the McKinney City Council, the Bombali District Council, the Children's Rights. We have all these partners that are also assisting in the conduct of this exam for this particular year in Bombali District.
He assured the public of a successful MPSC. At various centers in the city, the momentum was already heightened as both pupils and teachers who have accompanied their schools to the exam expressed determination and confidence. The Inspector of Schools by Sheka Wuri, as we caught up with him at Ibach Memorial Secondary School Center, told SLBC that there has been massive improvement into the things that could promote an effective and efficient examination. He cited government support in this year's venture.
And also, the parents appreciate the government's efforts for providing materials like pencils, erasers, sharpeners. These are simple materials, design HB pencils, right, that the children will use to shade. You know, compared to other pencils where they cannot do their shading so lightly.
Have you discovered any challenge or challenges so far?
Yeah, there are minor challenges. I don't want to call them major challenges. They are minor because they are under control, and these are issues that can be resolved within WAEC and to that of the ministry. One thing that is interesting now is the collaborative effort, the mutual understanding between ministry and WAEC for this exam is more cordial than before. So when issues arises, you can either call the center manager or you call the deputy director of education.
What are these issues? What are these minor challenges that
in the area of skipping of students, you know, that is an area of the BRS where you may have like 001, then you skip 03, 04, then they jump on to 06. So these are some of the issues, but they've been rectified.
Unlike the previous years, this time there was less attraction of parents at the centers we visited. The exam started at 9 a.m. and at the time of this report, it was smooth running.
Still on education, the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education has organized a 5-day refreshers training for early childhood development educators and advocates. The training falls within the framework of play-based early learning for children within the ages of 3 to 5 years. The SLBC's Victor Jones has more.
The Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education prides itself in early childhood brain development as an integral process to having more educated and professional citizenry.
This is key in free quality education. If we are to have quality education, we should have our foundation very, very strong. And our foundation in this case is the nursery, which we refer to as early childhood development. So that's one reason why we have these trainers here, because you have been watching them for the past days. They are teachers, some of them are even lecturers. I mean, with all respect to them, there's a different pedagogy. With all their certification, they will not be able to apply themselves well in the classroom if they are not trained.
More than 50 participants were trained on areas like supportive foundations for quality early childhood development and implementation of quality school programming.
The training is very rich. 3 to 5 early learning is very good. You know, the training has been educative, bringing us together and helping us how to guide our children in schools. Because at first we are doing rote learning, going the other way, sitting them with tables and chairs. But having gone through the training, we see that children learn best through play.
I've come to know how important to take care of the child at the early stage. Know their skills, allow them to have a say in what they want to do.
It takes a lot more than singing the 1765 Cock-a-Doodle-Doo or the classic 1870 Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall rhyme. An early childhood educator has to behave and act like a child to succeed. SLBC News Hour, Victor Jones reporting.
Well, let's go back to one of our headline stories where the President, Julius Maada Bio, has officially launched the operational plan for the Hands of Our Girls campaign from 2021 to 2023 and the commemoration of the International Menstrual Hygiene Day. Menstrual Hygiene Day is an annual awareness day on May 28th every year to highlight the importance of good menstrual hygiene management at the global level. The ceremony took place in Freetown. Hawa Mosure now reports.
This year's theme is Action and Investment in Menstrual Hygiene and Health. Launching the operational plan for the Hands of Our Girls campaign and the commemoration of the International Menstrual Hygiene, President Julius Maada Bio emphasized on the importance of gender inclusion, which is central to the medium-term national development plan, iterating that his government has developed a gender equality and women's empowerment policy to guide the interventions. This, he said, the First Lady Fatima Maada Bio traveled to every corner of the nation and spoke about the importance of the Hands of Our Girls to girls, women, men, boys, chiefs, and the communities. Her work, the President said, speaks for itself in this operational plan 2021 to 2023 as she has raised awareness and engaged state, non-state actors, the private sector, and institutions in advocacy and dialogue.
Over the last 3 years, we have taken bold risks, but we have been guided by the firm belief that girls, like boys, must have an equal chance in life. That girls, like boys, must be empowered, invested in, and supported, and that girls, like boys, must be protected and respected. It is easier said than done. It is not enough for me alone to do this, nor the First Lady. And therefore, today is an invitation to all of us to play our parts in making sure that happens. On that note, I want to thank you all. And I now formally launch first this operational plan for the Hands of Our Girls campaign 2021-2023.
Madam Fatima Maada Bio told the audience that in 2018, the President gave her the assignment to take the Hands of Our Girls campaign to the length and breadth of the country. She said during those moments, she noticed that rape and sexual abuses were the major problems affecting young girls and women in communities. She highlighted that the menstrual hygiene program is another significant project that has also benefited girls across the country, adding that some of the discussions she had with girls disclosed that they were using paper during their menstrual period.
When you are in your uniform as an ambassador for your school, you represent your school. Now the last thing that you wait for dinner in your mind. Because when you come out of your house and go to school, you don't let your mama and your papa in house. Automatically you are an ambassador now for that school. Anything when you do, good or bad, before they even call your name and your school name, then they attach to you. So if you know what your future what, then you know say, no man know what for you for Falaram na then dark alleys them. No man know what for you for Falaram na then dirty motels them. Because then they go there, then they go spoil your future. Now all that stupid sugar that did away see when I get so. And una way get una teacher then telephone numbers then sound on phone because una other than they give una free grade. Why it will give a telephone number, they pull you in your house 6 o'clock every day for carry go na then corner. It was na library. So why you go there?
Minister of Health and Sanitation, Dr. Austin Dembi said, as Minister of Health, menstrual hygiene is very important to him, but there has been a lot of challenges in that area, especially for girls living in remote communities. He stated that the lack of adequate facilities in terms of hygiene and sanitation makes most girls absent from school.
Menstruation, as we all know, is a natural physiological process. For adolescent girls, this signals the beginning of their reproductive lives. In Sierra Leone, menstrual hygiene mostly depends upon the girl's educational status, cultural status, and the socioeconomic status of their families. It is important that adolescent girls be educated about the significance of menstruation and the proper hygiene practices during menstruation.
The Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. Mweni Nasenga, however, disclosed government allocation towards the free sanitary pad program. This, he noted, will provide pads for over 300,000 girls across the country. Salwako, Dr. Senga said, is currently assessing all schools in the country for the provision of water and proper sanitation. The mayor of the Freetown municipality, Yvonne Akisoya, said that menstrual and hygiene is an important topic for women, but prior to this time, it was a taboo in the communities to hold such discussion. Thanking the First Lady for her strong support in educating the girls about menstrual and hygiene. The United Nations Resident Coordinator, Dr. Babatunde Ashunsi, and the Chinese ambassador to Sierra Leone commended President Julius Maada Bio for commemorating the day, as the importance of water and sanitation cannot be overemphasized. They applauded the First Lady for her role in taking menstrual hygiene messages and practice to different schools. Lack of resources and poverty are impacting the ability of people to manage their menstruation. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Hawa Mosibe reporting.
So how you go feel if you begin to go out of the way? Oh, now you sister, we're forced from right before you tell me. Take your hands up, small enough to take your hands up.
To encourage teachers and promote quality education in the country, the Teaching Service Commission has pitched a timeline that will lead to the conferment of awards to 2 hard-working teachers in Sierra Leone. My colleague Julian Koroma has the details.
In order to locate the most proficient teachers that will receive the bountiful award of being the best 2 teachers in Sierra Leone, the Teaching Service Commission has outlined their schedule and selection process.
We all know in 2000, well, some of us may have heard, in 2018 when the President was launching his People's Manifesto, he categorically clearly stated that he acknowledges that the teachers are the country's greatest asset, and they're the key drivers if the free quality education has to succeed. And he's intentional about taking different strides towards motivating and encouraging the creativity of these teachers.
The selection and election process that will lead to the conferment of the award will be free from all prejudice, and teachers from all levels will be considered.
The awards are basically going to be conducted at 3 levels: district, regional, and national levels. What we've done so far is to give opportunities to school heads and SMCs to nominate the best teachers in their schools all across the country. So at district level, we have winners from all levels, wherein we have pre-primary, we have GSS and SSS. And in total, we have about 48 from all 16 districts. Then we have to move them up to regional. When we get to regional, so 3 from each of these districts will literally go to regional. Then that gives us about 15 regional winners.
After all protocols leading to the conferment of the award is observed, they will be awarded on 17th June 2021. SLPC News Hour, Julian Koroma.
Political parties are considered to have crucial roles in modern-day democratic governance. In this light, various political parties in the country have engaged the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education on the implementation of the Free Quality School Education Program. Joseph Ture witnessed the session that was organized by the Political Parties Registration Commission at the Ministry of Education headquarters in New England.
It has been nearly 3 years since the Free Quality Education program was introduced. The engagement with various political parties to discuss the way forward on the government flagship program would appear to be a surprise for many. Amidst this latest development, what prompted such platform involving critical minds?
Comment or imagine issues concerned to their respective political parties, and after those comments, we did promise them that we will try to get the line ministries and departments to talk to them on any issue of concern they raise. All of the issues raised during those meetings are the issues that we are now bringing up to the relevant ministries, agencies and departments to talk to them.
For representatives of the various political parties, those strides have been made under the Free Education program. They outlined some of their concerns.
Rabbi Mosati, sitting here as Israeli first. As Israeli first, before belonging to any political party, I'm very much happy and pleased with the implementation of the Free Quality Education process that we're going under the direction.
So I was wondering if there is any documentation somewhere that speaks to the entire free quality education, so that at least we can fondle with that documentation or that book or that program to know exactly what it signifies.
I think the ministry should also offer solutions to. One among them is the fact that most of the dropouts in schools is also caused by teachers, in the sense that some teachers, based on salary, rather prefer to teach in extra school lessons than in the classroom.
Increase in number of enrollment in schools, infrastructure and the likes are among successes the Minister of Basic Education outlined during his response.
We have completed the reassessment of over 4,000 of those teachers. We've recruited over 7,000. 5,000 new ones, 2,000 that were replaced. And these teachers that were recruited go to communities that never had a school. There were 16 chiefdoms in this country that had no GSS. This, in part, is because there were just no schools. That same community just did not have any school. And now, like I said, we opened 16 new schools in 16 chiefdoms.
Such engagement with political parties is expected to be done with other line ministries in charting the way forward in upholding good governance. SLBC, Joseph Ture reporting.
The Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education has rolled out a training of trainers on the effective use of the Basic Education Curriculum Framework and the 18 syllabi for primary and secondary levels. The move focuses on developing fundamental skills and computational thinking rather than memorization. Cynthia Kamara witnessed the workshop in the FCC auditorium.
The training of school inspectors by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education was to give insights, guardians, and broaden the range of prescribed learning which can be used to pass knowledge to teachers on the proper learning curriculum. The ministry frowns at people's reliance on memorization, which most often allows them to promote to another level without better understanding of the areas of studies. The workshop will help in shifting learning from being narrow and largely academic, but rather developing fundamental skills and competencies such as computational thinking, comprehension, critical thinking, creativity, and civic-mindedness for capital development through quality education. Usman Kamara admonished the trainees to invest time in understanding effective use of the education curriculum framework in order to make impacts when they go on the field. The need for trainees to inspect and intensify monitoring procedures cannot be overemphasized, says Santigi Sise, Chairman, Education and Social Service Committee.
I believe everybody should have a goal, should have objectives for doing a particular thing. and so help these teachers for them to achieve their objectives, their teaching objectives. When they go to teach, they have their objectives. If those objectives are not achieved, it means they are not taught. It means their lesson does not have much worth. So let us help them. Let us help our children. Let us help our country. Let us try to ensure that our country moves from this poverty. Let's move from that and get something that is worthwhile.
In stock-taking and education transformation, the trainees gave presentations on national curriculum, the need to focus on prescribed and continuous learning. School inspector is one of the trainees, Santigi Kamara, throw light on early detection of talents in children, especially in the areas of studies, which will yield better justification in their future. For SABC News, Cynthia Kamara reporting.
A delegation from the Liberian road sector is in the country on a study tour to share experience with stakeholders in the management of the country's road sector. The team met with staff, board and management of the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, where they held discussions on the operations of the two sister institutions. The Chief Executive Officer of the Liberian National Road Fund, Boniface Sato, said the Liberian road sector is currently undergoing reforms and restructuring. Here is the reports. Among the delegation led by the Chief Executive Officer of the Liberian National Road Fund, Boniface Sato, are the Ministers of Works, Internal Affairs, Commerce and Industry, Parliamentary Works Oversight Committee, and officials from the National Road Fund and Ministry of Planning. Welcoming the visiting team, Director General SLRA Amar Kane told the team that government attaches utmost importance on roads and infrastructural development is key in the human capital development agenda. He said SLRA has gone through a series of reforms since it was established in 1993 and highlighted the structures and operations of various institutions constitutes the road sector.
Revenue accrued from fuel levy is one such source. Vehicle licenses and registration netted by the Road Safety Authority is also another source of revenue. And of course, government also from time to time gives subsidy to the road fund. We are thinking of expanding our revenue base to include tolling and as-road control, since all of this bear a direct relationship with deterioration of the road and hence maintenance. But then the evidence.
Chief Executive Officer, National Road Fund of Liberia, Boniface Sato, said they were in the country on a fact-finding mission to study the system players in the road sector, having put in place to manage its national road network, which they too can replicate for the road sector in Liberia. Mr. Sato said the National Road Fund of Liberia was established 3 years ago out of a reform process to help mobilize revenue in the road sector in field level and highlighted challenge in revenue generation, noting the fund is highly donor funded.
In Liberia, especially with our President's vision, Honorable Dr. George Manuel, especially for road connectivity. So we thought it wise to be able to come here in Sierra Leone and see what you guys are doing, especially your tool system, how you run your different programs. So that's the primary reason for us to be here, to have an overview and to learn, to have lessons learned in your road sector.
Presentations on the structures and operations of SLRA and the National Road Fund of Liberia formed part of the meeting. Ibrahim Samura, Freetown. As a way of responding to their corporate social responsibility, Kihon Investment Company has handed over a community health center they just rehabilitated in Kamasulu Chiefdom Port Loko district. They said community health center was in a dilapidated state and was the only health facility people in the chiefdom has that respond to their health challenges. Emmanuel Samuel went along.
This is the newly rehabilitated community health center in Kamasundu Chiefdom in Port Loko district. It was constructed several years ago but got dilapidated when mining in the community stopped. For over 3 years, the residents have been crying as it was the only health center they were using.
The health center before now was in a very bad shape and was not good to use, but we were only using it because we had no other choice.
The facelift of the facility is part of the community's confidence building measure and is among a series of quick fix projects designed for the development of the community, which the people were very appreciative about.
We thank God for what we are seeing today, and we are very happy. We thank the community because we will now feel comfortable using the health center.
Children in the community also appreciated the gesture.
What an opportunity. We will be skillful. Give our parents job. We will not be hungry. On behalf of all the people of this community, even the children, I say thank you.
The rehabilitation of the health center, the committee said, is just the beginning of their community development model, which will be different from previous communities.
In the near future, King Kong also have a plan to establish the key skill training center.
Mr. Zhao noted that the project will go a long way to improve the health status of the community, reduce maternal and infant mortality rates, and improve sexual and reproductive health of the youths. Emmanuel Afutamoa, SLBC Freetown.
The Residual Special Court of Sierra Leone and Council of Legal Education Law School have held memorial service and opened a book of condolence for the late Professor Justice Bankole Thompson. The memorial service was to reflect on the outstanding contribution by Justice Thompson to the justice sector and national development. Jonathan Turner reports.
The police wrote it also, and you are asking whether what the police said was it what the police complained of what they told to the medical double hearsay thing. Yes, the police said that the patient did not complain to the doctor. The patient complained to the police. I see. And the police referred the patient to the doctor based on the complaint. All right, well, let the doctor. That is what I'm asking. It sounds a little mysterious, but you can unravel it first. Yeah.
It's hard to lose a substantial personality and an emblem of justice. Professor Justice Bankole Thompson had contributed greatly to the field of academia and the justice sector. Many say Justice Thompson have extraordinary and incredible knowledge of the law.
He has affected the minds of most legal minds, as he was one of the finest legal minds Sierra has ever been.
To imagine how he would like to be remembered because of the indelible mark he left on the special court for Sierra Leone and the international legal community.
The late Justice Professor Dr. Uzuru John Bankole Thompson served as a judge of the Special Court for Sierra Leone from 2002 to 2009. Before joining the Special Court, he served as a judge in the Sierra Leone's High Court from 1981 to 1987. In the field of academia, Justice Thompson wrote and published extensively and his main publications include The Constitutional History and Law of Sierra Leone, 1961 to 1995, The Criminal Law of Sierra Leone, and American Criminal Procedures.
Imala discovers the prospect of him writing a book on the criminal procedure and practice to serve as a guide to our state prosecutors and criminal lawyers in the Republic of Sierra Leone. That proposal was sent to 4 weeks ago, and still today we are far advancing discussions about it. We will never benefit from that knowledge.
All those years, I truly appreciated his knowledge of the law and the working relationship we shared while performing our duties to the court. He will be missed, not only as a jurist, but also as a nice individual.
His distinguished career included serving as a judge of the Sierra Leone High Court from 1981 to 1987, a founding member of the Sierra Leone Law Reform Commission, and served as interim director of the Sierra Leone Law School. He was chairman of the Sierra Leone General Legal Council Law Journal Editorial Board and a member of the Western Africa Commission on Drug Trafficking and Other Transnational Crimes. He was one of the judges in the Commission of Inquiry, Court No. 2. Young practitioners should emulate and epitomize character. Late Professor Justice Bankole Thompson.
The late Bertrand Russell, the famous English philosopher, would want to talk about in his book Common Sense Philosophy.
For SLBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Well, let's go now around Africa for the latest news in the continent. Inmates serving life sentences in Zambia will soon start enjoying a 2-week break to visit their families if they are assessed to be well behaved. A new law signed by President Edgar Lungu will give leave license to chosen prisoners assessed as not poison a danger to the society. Those who show remorse and stay away from crime will be freed, according to Zambia Commissioner General Chelsila Chelisi. He, however, said inmates will only enjoy such privileges if the Zambia Correctional Service recommended them in writing to Mr. Lungu. He said if they commit an offense, then their license is revoked. Some Zambians on Twitter have criticized the new law, calling it a holiday or criminals. The rescue operations in Nigeria's Kebbi State has entered day 3 with 60 bodies having been recovered so far. The authorities say the number of survivors still stands at 22, with some of them still being treated at the hospital. Authorities say chances of finding more people alive are low. Gaski local government chairman Abdullahi Buhari Wara said 5 people had been buried. President Muhammadu Buhari described the accident as devastating. A suspected burglar has been arrested in Zambia's southern district of Gutu for allegedly using a ghost costume to frighten his victims before stealing from them. The National Police spokesperson Paul Yathi said that the investigations has so far confirmed that the man identified as Norman Chawiza had robbed 2 homes. According to the Newsday site, Mr. Yathi said he would pretend to be a ghost and frighten people. When the people run away, he would help himself to their belongings. He added that he stole a ladder at a certain homestead. Then, in another incident, he locked the door from outside while trying to steal solar panels, but the owner of the house broke the door and ran after him, and he was caught. Well, that's all for the latest update around the African news. Let's now go over for entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment News with me, Cynthia Kamara. Well, we are having Freetown Fashion Week for the first time in Sierra Leone, and presently we're here at Town where models and designers will be showcasing their talent, and we'll be also having a runway, which is the first time it's happening here in Sierra Leone in restaurants. And this time we're going to see different type and size of models, and as well as designers that will be showcasing the products they've been making. But in the meanwhile, enjoy the walkway here at Chiquita Restaurants. These are the models that we'll be performing throughout as we continue with the Freetown Fashion Week. In the next edition of Entertainment News, we will be talking to the designers and the models on how will the Freetown Fashion Week platform showcase the varieties of talents they've portrayed. That's all in this edition of Entertainment News. I am Cynthia Kamara.
Let's now join Esther Marie Samora.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update. In this edition of the Sport News, the Sports Association of Sierra Leone has commenced its triennial and elective congress to usher in a new executive to lead the association for the next 3 years. The Congress will be held on Saturday coming at the Siaka Stevens Stadium Presidential Lounge in Freetown. Outgoing President of the association, Frank Cole, said he led the association on capacity building and as well as developing the association. These were some of his sayings during the Congress.
Administration first activity was a symposium to commemorate International Sport Journalists Day in July 2, 2015. The celebration was low because of the Ebola scourge that was ravaging our country. For some of us who don't know, the International Sport Journalists Day is set aside July 2 every year by the International Sports Press Association, AIPS, to celebrate the works of sport journalists globally. My executive, for the first time in the history of our association during the period under review, also collaborated with the Sierra Leone Swimming, Diving and Water Polo Association to organize the Dr. Keke Bangura Memorial Swimming Championship at the Siaka Stevens Stadium Swimming Pool in Freetown. Colleagues, during my quest for the presidency of SWASA some 6 years ago, my campaign was based on 7 promises served as 7-point plan. 6 years down the line, as your humble president, my executive was able to achieve the following. 1. International sports coverage. We started slowly, but today we are proud to say my executive for administration has sent the highest number of SWASA members from across Sierra Leone to cover international competitions.
The Sports Writers Association of Sierra Leone, while the head of marketing and wholesale banking at the Bokel Commercial Bank, Mariama Gajua, also served as the keynote speaker in the Congress, said there is a need for less involvement into sporting politics by sports journalists. She has this to say.
Please don't be at the back. You can be at the forefront, let people know, not politicians. Because these politicians, they have their own role. You have your own role to play, and your role is to ensure that this sporting institution is a vibrant and it's here to stay. Sports has been in existence for so long. You heard about the Olympics. That's why they do Olympics every year. So please, when you're writing, write something that I will be able to, even if it's late at night, I'll be reading it and I enjoy what I'm reading. Don't sit back, don't allow the politicians to bring you down. Please, especially like, I think it's Slapper, that's his own way. Sometimes when I get news like, oh no, we're going down the drain again. Please just let it be. If you're writing, write objectively about what you think this person means for the betterment of the sporting world. Don't be very personal. When you are personal, you go down the drain and everything goes bad for you people. Because I want to eat something that is one-sided. Be neutral. Don't be somebody that will go there and start crying somebody down. It's not nice for, I'm sure, for a journalist to do that. The bank
Samuel Jr. and Mohamed Kone will begin to pull on Saturday. In the Sierra Leone Premier League, today at the Siaka Stevens Stadium, Mighty Blackpool were defeated by Wusum Stars Football Club by a goal to nil. Mohamed Kamara of Wusum Stars scored the only goal for his team. And also at the Atuga Mini Complex today, Diamond Stars were defeated by Freetown City Football Club by goal to nil as well. But that's all we have time in this edition of Sports Update. With me, Esther Marisa. Thanks for watching.
News for supporters of Mighty Blackpool. Well, to end the news, the main points again. President Bio has officially launched the operational plan for the Hands Off Our Girls campaign from 2021 to 2023 and commemorated the International Menstrual Hygiene Day. Menstrual Hygiene Day is an annual awareness day on May 28th every year to highlight the importance of good menstrual hygiene management at the global level. Over 166,000 candidates have sat to the National Primary School Examination, or NPSA. A delegation from the Liberian road sector on a study tour has met with the country's road sector stakeholders. The Chief Executive Officer of the Liberian National Road Fund, Boniface Sato, said the Liberian road sector is currently undergoing reforms and restructuring. Well, thanks for watching and stay tuned to your public broadcaster, the SLBC. Stay safe, be well, and have a nice weekend. I am Ibrahim Samra. Goodbye.